I recently met up with this young artist. She's a beginning gardener. It's her passion, it's her art. Here's what she had to say about it.
This is my garden. I have tomatoes, I have rosemary that I'm curious to try out in chicken. I have, of course, these bell peppers. These ones were started by seed, and then these ones were started by clones that I got from like Lowe's. So I'm curious to see if these ones will ever actually catch up. This was more of my lettuce in here. I have my chard, my kale, my cilantro, and my spinach in here. I have my squash, and then my sweet peas back there. But this is my garden.
What's been your favorite so far?
Probably the lettuce. So like my kale and then my chard, my spinach, because it grows really quick. And it's really fun to be able to see these big leafy greens. And I already trimmed them already, which is pretty cool because it's my first trim of the season. And it's looking like they already need to be trimmed again. So I think that's pretty fun. So that's definitely my favorite because it's like instant. It's not instant, but it's pretty quick progress in fruit that I get to eat soon. So this is a saguaro cactus. So that thing is probably like at least 10 years old already. I know, but they're the really, really, really big ones. So we'll be able to keep that forever. And then I have some aloe. As you can see this one. Oh, this one's a torch cactus. And this one just bloomed. But the blooms last only like a day or so. But it's like a fiery red flower.
What do you think a difference in New Mexico versus Colorado gardening or growing is?
For me, in my experience, especially farming last year, weather. Obviously, that's the hugest one. But even people in Durango specifically still say that we're really dry. Like southern Colorado, Durango specifically compared to like northern. But we were freaking out, and I even know people this year, just a few days ago, who were freaking out and having to prepare for the frost. Because my friend who has a full-blown organic garden, who's selling at the farmer's market, she had to prepare for frost a few nights in a row. And so it's a lot of the time having to work on your feet and cover plants really quickly, knowing that it's gonna frost in the middle of the night. Because if you don't, that's her livelihood that she's working on. That's her food. That's other people's food in the area that can go within a night or two. So that's kind of crazy. Last season, whenever we were working on different farms in Colorado, we had some that were like absolutely amazing, but it's all on how the farmer tends their soil, because it takes years to have really, really good soil. As me, this is my first year living here and having basically like concrete. I had to makeshift and get the help from you, Haley, on making these raised beds, which cost a little bit more money, cost more on soil, but it's all just time and care and learning how to amend your soil. I think eventually whenever I get to a place where I'm going to call home forever, I want to amend my soil, but again, like it takes years and years and years on like tilling it and fertilizing it and putting in time and effort. It's a lot of time and effort. But I'm excited for that, but it's good to know like how to make these raised beds or how to be a sponsorship for Jimmy John's pickle buckets. Because I've got like 7 or 8.
Sure.
I've got a lot, but it's great because you have to make shift. And they're portable and they're easy and free. So
yeah,
it's all on how you want to work it.
It's cool. I feel like it's almost like this community of gardeners.
I love that specific part about gardening. And I wouldn't even say it's just Durango, but there's a lot of really great gardeners in Durango or farmers in Durango. That I'm looking forward to because I get to work with them and they get to teach me things. Like I'm going to that friend that I was telling you about who had to cover up all her garden this year who is going to be putting it out for the Durango Farmers Market. And I'm gonna go because this is my first year doing my own garden 100%, that I wasn't getting paid to work on someone's garden. And there's a lot that I don't know that I realized, so it's been very humbling. Because I'm excited. She's gonna go and she's gonna teach me on like when to pull veggies and what to look for when you're pulling on veggies and the differences. And it's probably gonna be a lot of like picking weeds too and why we pick weeds. And but it's really cool that she's just gonna show me how she runs a fully functional garden that's big enough to supply food for a lot of people in Durango.
So, why do you garden?
It is probably next to art, next to painting, next to sketching on my iPad. It's probably the best way that I am able to relieve stress. And it's kind of the mundane tasks of just coming out here and pulling weeds when I need to pull weeds, and watering every single night, and even just planning that really help my mental health. A big thing for me is being able to see the fruit of what I'm planting, like this little dude right here. That's so cool to me, and that is so fulfilling. It's probably gonna be tiny and it might not be the best, taste because it's my very first bell pepper, but that's so fulfilling, and it fuels my soul, and it kind of lights me on fire to be able to take and eat that. And like being able to, I picked my kale the other day, and it just makes me feel so good, and it's so rewarding to be out here and do this. I've worked for people for the past 3 summers doing stuff like this. It was growing hemp, so it wasn't necessarily the same, but it's just really, really rewarding, and being able to bring it to my backyard and do it myself takes it to a different level and a more personal level for me, because I'm able to eat that and share that with my family and tell my family members, hey, look how good my garden's doing. So I think that's really special for me. And again, it's really just being able to see the fruit from all the effort I'm putting into it.
When was your first garden?
When I was, from what I remember, working with my dad and his garden, and him showing me like how to do tomatoes and how to do bell peppers. And I would say I was probably like 9 or 10 whenever I started working with him in the garden. And it was simple stuff, just like watering whenever I was a little kid and could remember to help him. Big sign for my dad's garden says like Alex and Pa's garden kind of thing, but still hanging up in his no longer garden. But it's been since I was little for sure.
Do you think that's something that has driven that passion for you, the motivation to garden?
I would definitely say so. It's at least shown me a little bit of hard work and making me feel comfortable with hard work and making me feel comfortable with what you have to do to maintain something that's living. I think a lot of people, especially working on a big farm that I've experienced, it's not just like taking pictures on Instagram and getting to show off like where you work, but it's really like doing the work and getting dirty constantly and having dirt underneath your nails for weeks because you just know it's gonna keep getting down there. It's just putting in that effort. So I would definitely say that he taught me a lot about that since I was little, and being able to do this, because he had in New Mexico, everyone just has so many rocks in their garden. And I remember like pulling them out, and like he made like huge mounds of rocks around our garden just from being able to like till it up, and then finding more rocks and more rocks like that. So I think it's really, really great for kids to be able to garden and learn the hard work that goes into it, and then being able to see where their vegetables come from or their fruits come from. I think it's a really cool experience for them. I wouldn't take any planting season as a bad season. even if you don't you don't bear too much fruit or you don't bear too many vegetables, because you're gonna learn regardless. I think it's the biggest classroom that you can ask for. And that's been my experience with succulents, because I've been doing succulents for years and years and years since I was in high school. And that it's just the biggest classroom, and you have to take it with every experience. You know, you never, regardless if your plants are doing great or if you kill all of your plants, because I kill plants all the time. And it's just one of those lessons that you have to learn from and experience, and be okay with asking questions, because it's really okay to fail, because you know that every farmer isn't making it out 100% all the time. And I would say that's just 100% organic truth for.
Do you feel like your garden is like an empty canvas, a blank canvas for you?
I would say so. I was thinking a lot about how it's really, I just moved a bunch of my plants over. That's because it's like spacing and how you occupy your space, and getting plants that are colorful and they're ever changing. And that's one of the coolest things I love even about like succulents and cacti, because they're ever changing and ever blooming, and they're turning colors. And I think that's the coolest part about having plants, is that they're growing and they're changing colors. And the coolest thing specifically that I've learned about these tomatoes, like everything changes color regardless on like if you're doing it right or if you're doing it wrong, which is really cool, because then you get to learn about what this plant needs. Like I've been watering maybe my tomatoes just a little bit too much, so I'm just trying to back out, maybe doing it every few nights. But I definitely say it's a canvas, because it changes and it's very colorful, and you can make it literally anything you want it to be. I could have made these, you know, completely different, but I love it. I love that it's very just like rustic and organic out here. I love gardening, and I definitely support anybody who wants to garden, anybody who has any questions, and I definitely support failing at gardening, because I think that teaches you so much.
Follow Alex on Instagram at afrayart6.